Joining me here in studio, former federal prosecutor Seth Waxman, Michael Allen, an international policy and intelligence consultant, and Carol Lee, NBC national political reporter. Thanks to all of you for being here. And Seth, I just want to start with you and get your reaction. How significant is this guilty plea? Are we making too much of this? Or are there real potential implications, not only for Manafort, but potentially the president?
Yeah, I think this is incredibly significant. I mean, Bob Mueller's focus is to work his way up through the senior operatives within the Trump organization, the campaign, and ultimately maybe get to the president himself. And he has now moved one step closer, a significant step closer to that goal. And, you know, when you look at it, you see Trump Jr., Kushner, and Manafort being the ones that were inside that Trump Tower meeting, the one that had the closest contacts with the Russians by all accounts. And now we have a person that knows Paul Manafort intimately, knows his history for 10 years, can tell Bob Mueller where the bodies are buried in that underlying case against Paul Manafort, putting incredible pressure on Paul Manafort to then flip and then walk Bob Mueller right into that meeting at Trump Tower.
Part of what you're saying is he wants to get inside that meeting, Mueller does.
Absolutely he does. If he can hear that there was an exchange of dirt on Hillary Clinton in exchange for favors to the Russians if and when he takes office, that is an incredibly telling moment for the Mueller investigation.
Michael, I want to ask you about the developments today and as it relates to something that we read in Fire and Fury. Now, of course, the White House has dismissed this book as pure fiction, but there was an interesting quote in there which was essentially from Steve Bannon, who says this is all about the money laundering. Their path to bleeping Trump goes right through Paul Manafort, Don Jr., and Jared Kushner. It's as plain as a hair on your face. When you see the developments today that are so focused on, obviously, Paul Manafort, Rick Gates' financial ties, what do you make of that?
Well, one, I agree. I think Manafort is checkmated here. I thought he was already virtually going to be convicted had it gone to trial. Now, if you're in Team Manafort, you're asking yourself, do I even need to go to trial? Maybe I need to plead out. But look, also with Rick Gates, this gives you a window, not just into what happened at this meeting that we all talk about in Trump Tower, but it gives you a window into the critical time period when he was on the campaign. That is the crux of the matter. That is the crux of the inquiry. It's not just the June 6th meeting. And so this is one more step closer to Manafort, one more step closer to money laundering indictments, but it also is a window straight into the campaign.
Carol, help me to take a bird's eye view. You've obviously been reporting on every single development, as have I. What do you make of how quickly the pace seems to be right now of this investigation? Because there was sort of a drip, 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 and now there are developments almost daily.
Yeah, and I think a couple things. One is we've seen a very quick, methodical sort of pace by the special counsel, and this is just another piece of evidence of that. But also, you know, if you want to just talk about how quickly this is moving, the charges that that Gates pleaded to, you know, they happened fairly recently. It was recently that he spoke to the FBI and was not truthful, and so you can see how I think Ken laid it out very well earlier. There's this outside-in sort of squeezing, using personal dealings and business in these people's business transactions to get to the heart of the matter, which is, was there any collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia? And, you know, this is the third member of the Trump campaign that we know of. We should always, I think, clarify that. The special counsel keeps showing us that there's a lot of things that we don't know, that this is the third individual that we know of who was on the campaign and on the transition, which is also significant.
Pick up there, Michael, on Carol's point. Do you anticipate Paul Manafort, others will be pleading guilty and cooperating with the special counsel?
Most certainly. It's picking up momentum. People know that they're in big trouble. And I think Manafort is trying to get elsewhere. I mean, Manafort is a big fish. Rick Gates was, you know, important, but not the critical figure. You want to get to Manafort. You want to put pressure on him, perhaps, to cut a deal. He is late in life, and he's facing a lot of, but, you know, prosecutors want to get to the heart of the matter, and I believe the heart of the matter is money laundering and collusion, and this is a new conduit to get there.
Seth, Michael, and Carol, thank you for a great discussion. Really appreciate it. A lot of breaking news to be on top of today. Appreciate your insights.